Have you ever wondered what would happen if Earth suddenly lost oxygen, even for just 5 seconds? It sounds harmless at first. 5 seconds isn't long. You can hold your breath longer than that, so nothing major would happen. Right? Wrong. If oxygen disappeared from Earth for just 5 seconds, the damage would be immediate, global, and far more chaotic than most people expect. Let's start with the obvious assumption that humans would suffocate. Surprisingly, that's not the biggest problem. Humans can survive without breathing for far longer than 5 seconds. So no, you wouldn't instantly pass out or die. But your body isn't the real issue. The environment is. Oxygen makes up about 21% of Earth's atmosphere. If it suddenly vanished, the air pressure around you would drop instantly. Not enough to explode your body, but enough to feel like a sudden violent shift. Your ears would pop hard, like an extreme version of airplane pressure, but faster, sharper, and more disorienting. At the same time, the sky would change. Right now, the sky looks blue because oxygen and nitrogen scatter sunlight. Remove oxygen and that balance breaks. The sky would darken, shifting toward a deep, almost black tone, even in broad daylight. For a few seconds, it would feel like the planet itself just switched off. But that's just the beginning. Now think about fire. Fire needs oxygen. No oxygen means no combustion. In less than a second, every fire on Earth goes out. Car engines stop instantly. Motorcycles die mid-motion. Factories shut down. Gas stoves go cold. Even backup generators fail if they rely on combustion. For 5 seconds, the world's mechanical systems lose power in a way they were never designed to handle. Now imagine this happening in the air. Airplanes rely on continuous combustion inside jet engines. The moment oxygen disappears, engines lose thrust. Planes don't just gently glide, they begin to lose power immediately. Pilots would have seconds to react, but at cruising altitude, even a brief loss of thrust can destabilize the aircraft. Even if oxygen returns, restarting engines mid-air isn't always instant or guaranteed. Some aircraft would recover, others wouldn't. Now scale that globally. Thousands of flights, all affected at the same time. But it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about pressure again, but in a more realistic way. Oxygen disappearing wouldn't destroy structures instantly, but it would disturb the balance of the atmosphere. The sudden drop in pressure would create powerful air movements, mini shock waves across the planet. Not enough to flatten cities, but enough to shatter glass, destabilize weak structures, and cause widespread mechanical stress. Now let's talk about water. Water itself wouldn't disappear. That's a common misconception. Oxygen in water molecules doesn't just vanish because atmospheric oxygen does. But pressure changes would affect how water behaves at the surface. Lakes, rivers, and oceans would begin to evaporate slightly faster for those few seconds. Not dramatically, but enough to create disturbances. Combined with pressure imbalance, waves could behave unpredictably. Coastal regions would experience sudden, chaotic motion. Now let's bring it back to humans. Even though you wouldn't suffocate instantly, your body would feel the absence of oxygen immediately. The air you inhale would contain none of the oxygen your body needs. Your brain is extremely sensitive to oxygen levels. Within seconds, some people would feel dizzy. Others might experience confusion or a brief loss of coordination. Your body would react like it's being deprived because it is. Your eyes would also be affected. The surface of your eyes depends on oxygen from the air. A sudden drop wouldn't blind you instantly, but it could cause irritation, dryness, and temporary visual disturbance. And then there's something people underestimate: sound. Sound travels differently depending on the medium. With a sudden drop in atmospheric composition, sound waves would behave strangely. For a moment, the world could feel quieter, distorted, almost unnatural, like reality itself is slightly off. Now imagine all of this happening at once. The sky darkens, engines shut down, pressure shifts, sound changes. Your body feels wrong. No one understands what's happening. Multiply that by 8 billion people. Panic becomes inevitable. Cars lose control, some crash. Airplanes struggle. Industrial systems fail. People freeze, confused, trying to process what just happened. And then, after 5 seconds, oxygen returns. But here's the part most people ignore. Everything doesn't just go back to normal. Engines don't magically restart at the exact same moment. Some systems require manual reset. Power grids experience instability. Machines that depend on continuous operation fail or shut down completely. In aviation, even a few seconds of disruption can create chain reactions, navigation errors, loss of coordination, delayed responses. On the ground, traffic accidents increase. Industrial processes are interrupted. Sensitive equipment in hospitals and laboratories could malfunction. It's not the 5 seconds that cause the most damage. It's what happens right after. Now, let's go deeper. Even ecosystems would feel it. Small organisms, especially those highly sensitive to oxygen levels, like certain insects or microorganisms, could be affected instantly. Not wiped out, but stressed enough to disrupt local ecosystems. Ocean life near the surface could experience brief oxygen deprivation, especially in already low oxygen zones. Again, not extinction level, but disruption. And when you combine millions of small disruptions across the planet, they turn into something bigger: global instability. Now let's be clear about something. This scenario is almost impossible. Oxygen doesn't just disappear and reappear. The physics required for that would break far more than just the atmosphere. If something powerful enough to remove oxygen existed, Earth wouldn't recover in 5 seconds. It would be permanently altered. But that's exactly why this question matters, because it exposes something most people never think about. We don't just depend on oxygen to breathe. We depend on it for everything: engines, fire, energy, systems, stability, life itself. 5 seconds without oxygen wouldn't end humanity, but it would be enough to show how fragile our entire world really is. Not because we can't survive 5 seconds, but because everything around us can't.